Hey guys, Mel here. We're going to move through a flowy, dynamic practice. If you've got blocks, feel free to grab them or something like a block because we might want to use them in some half moons and things like that. But if you're all right without them, or if you've got them ready, let's go ahead and get started. We're going to start in child's pose today. So just finding a comfortable position for your knees. That could be together, it could be out wide, and dropping your sit bones onto your heels. Feel free to wiggle around the hips and take your time to kind of land there. So as you stretch your arms forward, it might be more of a process than you often come into child's pose with. So really feeling into the exact space you need right now. And that might be on your elbows, you might rest your head on your hands. And then once you find that pose, feel free to just move around. So maybe side to side, or you could shift your arms or lift the spine a little just to kind of get into the good spot of your child's pose. And only when you're ready to find stillness, closing your eyes and shifting all of that awareness to your breath. And so awareness to the breath doesn't mean that you need to modify. You might find that the natural ebb and flow of your breath feels really good today. So maybe just being aware of how that feels, maybe how it sounds. And if you're feeling like it's a little erratic or really shallow breath, this would be a good opportunity to just take about 6 really good, deep and intentional breaths. So as you pull the breath into the pit of the belly, as low as you can get it, see if you can hold it there for a millisecond before you release your exhale, nice and slowly, clearing out every part of the breath. And as you next start to inhale, encouraging the breath in through the nose, the depth, the space that you're creating in the body. And that exhale, we're just releasing tiny little bits of tension perhaps. So finding a rhythm or connection to your breath feels like it's nurturing your body, your nervous system. And when you find the end of your next breath, just slowly starting to make your way up onto hands and knees, getting ready for some cat-cows. So you might want to keep your eyes closed, especially if you're really familiar with these movements. But as you make your way onto hands and knees, spread the fingers underneath your shoulders, adjust and wiggle about through the hips and knees until you feel stacked. And then as you next start to breathe in, start to lift your tail, drop your belly, draw your heart forward, pull your shoulders back. And as you let go of your breath, press into the hands as you round the lower, the mid, the upper back to the ceiling, drop the head. Breathing in to find that extension through the front of the body. And breathing out to lift, lengthening the spine towards the ceiling. Inhale one more time to find that length through the front of the body. And exhale to find that flexion, curling the spine up. And just coming into your neutral spine on your next breath in. Leaning into your left hand a little, float your right hand either out to the side or towards the ceiling. And as you exhale, take your right hand and thread it underneath your left shoulder, drop onto your right ear or temple. Now pressing into your left hand, you might want to move your hips a little to the right as they sway to the left naturally. Just feeling into that lower back a bit more by adjusting the hips. Take just one more breath here. And as you find the end of that exhale, press firmly into the left hand so you can float the right hand up on a breath in. Exhale, right hand meets the earth. When you're ready, left hand extends out to the side or to the ceiling. And then exhale, breathe it under, drop onto your left ear or temple. Once again, move the hips so they do tend to now sweep to the right, so bring them back to the left a little perhaps. Push into your right hand. And taking a full breath. And then pressing into that right hand, breathing the left hand up and open, inhale. And then exhale, just bringing it back down onto the earth. From here, we're going to stay on hands and knees, but just flick the hands around so that the fingertips point towards the knees. So one hand at a time. Start to adjust your position. So if you need to move your knees a little closer to the hands, of course, go ahead. And fingertips might not feel comfortable pointing backwards. They could come out to the sides. But once you arrive with the hands like this, just maybe move back and forth. These will be tiny movements or side to side, just stretching into the forearms and the wrists. And take one more breath doing this. And one at a time, shake out the wrist, so lifting up the hand. And then the other, giving it a good shake before you plant it back down. Taking a breath or two just in your 4-point pose. You can do any kind of movement that feels good. And then when you're ready, tucking your toes, floating the knees up on an inhale, lift the sit bones, downward facing dog on an exhale. And as we move into down dog, we can just straight away start to be a little bit more dynamic. So bending the knees one at a time, or maybe together, dropping a heel one at a time, maybe swaying the head over to opposite bicep. Playing around with all the different ways you can make this shape feel good. And then when you're ready to find some stillness, holding here, just to think about that breath again. So as you next inhale, lifting the belly button up so that it comes almost under the rib cage. And then exhale, really expanding through the rib cage. Your next breath in, bend your knees. And start to exhale as you walk your feet all the way to your hands. Move to the top of your mat. Take your feet about hip distance and find ragdoll. So this could be with your hands on the earth. You could hold on to opposite elbows, or you could just dangle, hold on to the backs of the legs. However this is going to feel the best for you, go ahead and do it. And then just sway from side to side. And feeling that big stretch across the back of the legs, the lower back. Try to lengthen the crown of your head towards the earth. Taking another full breath in. Let your arms relax on the breath out. And we're going to come up to standing. So you can do this as fast or slow as you like, and you can round the spine, or you could do it with a flat back. Just find your own way up. Give your shoulders a roll and add the reach of your fingertips towards the ceiling on an inhale. From here, a little tuck of the tail. Spark your fingers up nice and high. Maybe bring your gaze up. Take another big breath in. And then from here, cactus your arms, bend at the elbows, open up through your heart. Stay standing, stay locked in with the belly. A little tilt back though with the hands. So bringing the back of the hands towards the back of your mat, keeping the gaze up if it feels good. Inhale. And then as you exhale, start to hinge from your hips, around your spine a little as you find a forward fold. Slide your hands up onto your legs, pressing into them, lengthen your spine, halfway lift, inhale, draw the shoulders back. And then exhale, just coming back into that fold. Once again, finding your halfway lift. So hands come to the legs, they can float, they could press into the ground. And then exhale, hands meet the earth. Step both feet back into a plank pose. Now this could be on your knees, and often when we're starting, that's not a bad choice. Let's push the heels back though if we are on the toes, and hug the shoulders in. Feel the length through your neck. As you next inhale, shifting a little forward if you're on your toes, and then hinging from the elbows so the shoulders come forward. Hug your elbows and lower all the way to the ground. Once you come to the ground, untuck your toes, press the tops of your feet into the earth, find cobra breath in. And then retuck your toes, pressing into your hands, lift your tail, downward facing dog. Take a full breath here. Then inhale. You can bring your gaze forward if that feels good for your neck. Bend and soften through your knees. Step your feet to the top of your mat. Feet together or hip distance. Find a halfway lift as you inhale. And then fold as you exhale. Coming up to standing, just one big breath in. So inhale to lift. And as soon as you find that exhale, this time hands to your heart and come back into that fold. On your next inhale, find a halfway lift. And then as you breathe out, we're going to bring the hands to the ground, but shift the weight into the right foot. And as we do that, start to hover the left foot off the mat, bending the knee, bending the right knee as well as we slow and steady step the left foot to the back of the mat, getting ready to come into a low lunge. Once the left foot gets down, drop the left knee to the earth and move back and forth through those hip flexors. So bending the knee, the front knee, and straightening it maybe until you feel like you can kind of land in this lunge position. When you're ready to come into this low lunge, you can untuck your back toes. Let's press into the front foot, so get strong through that front leg and lift the hands towards the ceiling. From here, a big spark of the fingers up. Keep pushing into the ball of the front foot and maybe lift your heart a little higher. So you'll be edging backwards just a little with the hands. Take another full breath in. And then exhale, just bringing the hands down to frame the front foot. Coming into an easy twist. Left hand stays grounded, right hand comes up. Take a big breath in. And then breath out, right hand comes onto the right knee, pushing into the knee. Inhale, left hand reaches towards the ceiling. Now keep pushing the right knee forward, reach your left hand back just a little. Inhale. And then exhale, left hand comes onto the inside of the right foot and bring your right hand onto the inside of that right foot too. As you do that, start to walk your hands over to that left hand side. So we're moving the torso off the side of the mat, trying to create a bit of length. Keep your right foot where it is, push into it, and encourage the right knee to move out to the side. If you need to come out of the hips a little, just lean up with the sit bones. And then from here, lean into your left hand, bring your right hand onto your right knee. Now, if you can, push the right knee away from the midline a little and start to bring your gaze up over the right shoulder as you pull it back and start to encourage the left shoulder forward. Take a big inhale. And then exhale, pushing into that right knee still, drop your right shoulder down towards the left side of the mat. Inhale, once again, roll the right shoulder back, left shoulder forward. And then exhale, dropping the right shoulder down. And this time when we do it, pressing into the knee, lifting the right shoulder up. Also lift the right arm up, expand through the heart space, so the right hand will just float back. And then exhale, that right hand can come back onto the inside of your right foot. I'm going to tuck the left toes now and start to float the left knee up. And as we do that, lifting the hips slightly higher than we would in a lunge, rotate and walk towards the left side of the mat, adjusting the feet to come into a wide leg forward fold. Toes will be slightly inward of the heels, and then we can just use our hands on the ground, maybe on our blocks or our legs. But let's start to fold, just bending one knee at a time. So thinking of warming the body here, not finding your deepest forward fold, just moving into the joints. So bending one knee at a time. Let's just take a couple more breaths doing this. Maybe you do want to keep the legs straight. It's really up to you. Follow your own lead. So starting to find that stillness. From here, we're just extending the heart, and we're going to walk the hands towards the back of the mat so that we start to frame the left foot as we come into a low lunge and drop that back knee. From here, move back and forth. So move into those hip flexors, move into the hamstrings, just as much dynamic movement as you need here. And when you're ready to find that stillness, pushing into the left foot, you can untuck your back toes and find the extension of your hands, taking a big breath in to lift and lengthen. So think about your fingertips getting higher as you breathe in. And if you want to, send the hands back just a little to flare your heart a little higher to the ceiling. Take a big breath in. And then big breath out, bring your hands down, frame your left foot. Keeping your right hand grounded, float your left hand all the way up towards the ceiling. Finding that twist, inhale, then left hand comes onto the knee, extending the right arm all the way up. Finding that height, take a big breath in, and then letting that go. Both hands come onto the inside of your left foot. From here, start to walk your hands now over to the right, so the same side of the mat, encouraging your heart to lengthen, pushing into that front foot. If you want to, you can always stay like this, or just hopping that left hand onto the left knee, pushing the left knee away. Inhale, start to look over that shoulder. And then as you exhale, start to drop your left shoulder down towards the right hand side. Inhale, roll it back up, pushing the left shoulder forward. And then exhale, dropping it down. This time when we do it, opening up that arm so we reach that hand towards the back of the mat. And then exhale, bringing it back onto the inside of the foot, tucking the back toes, lifting the back knee, and starting to rotate all the way back into your wide leg forward fold. So coming back into that position, soften the knees if we need to, or bend one at a time, or just letting the head hang. Just take one more breath here. And then we're going to continue our journey back to the front of the mat. So start to walk the hands all the way back to the front of the mat, rebend the front knee. From here, we're finding that space to look forward, inhale, and we're going to step the left foot to the top of the mat and find a forward fold. Feet at hip distance or together. Move into a halfway lift as you breathe in, and then ground your hands, step back, plank pose on your breath out. On your next inhale, a little shift forward, and you're lowering all the way to the ground here. Once again, hugging the elbows in. Once you get to the earth, untuck your toes, squeeze your elbows back, cobra breath in, downward facing dog on your exhale. On your next inhale, bring your gaze forward, end of the exhale, step, walk, float, however you want to get to the top of the mat, but bring your feet together, big toes to touch this time. On your next inhale, find a halfway lift, and then exhale, once again, fold. This time, bend your knees, inhale, chair pose, sweep the earth, coming into that squatted position, hugging the knees towards one another, reaching the fingers up, take a big breath in, keep your knees bent, stay in chair pose, but exhale, hands come to the hips and roll onto the balls of your feet. I'm going to do that again, drop the heels down, inhale, sweep the arms up. Exhale, hands to hips, roll onto the balls of the feet. This time, drop the heels, come up to standing, straighten the legs, reach the arms up, inhale. And then exhale, dive your hands to your heart, forward fold. Halfway lifting on your next inhale. Ground your hands, step back, Chaturanga Dandasana, or a high to low plank sequence that suits us. So inhale, little shift forward, lowering to the ground or to halfway if we're coming into up dog. And then exhale, press it back, downward facing dog. Take a full breath. And then when you're ready, let's float the right leg up towards the ceiling and we'll bend that right knee, opening the hip. Hold here for an inhale. And then exhale, slowly step that foot to the top of the mat. Let's come up into crescent lunge. So keep the back knee lifted. Hands can always come to hips, just to find that right position. So you might want to bend the back knee a little bit or keep the legs straight, but just think of lifting in and up. Then when you're ready, reaching your arms all the way up. Take a big breath in, and then we're moving into a twist. So the left hand will come forward and the right hand's going to come back. Now reaching the hands away from one another, then dropping your back hand onto your back leg. Reach your left hand a little higher. You can bend more through that back knee. Take a big inhale, bending your left elbow so the hand kind of floats around the back of the head. And then from here, we're going to bring out both hands into the heart, shift into the front foot, and then start to hover the left knee behind the right, Shiva squat. So the right leg is bent and the left knee is kind of hovering behind. Take another full breath in. And then start to straighten your right leg as much as you want to. Let the right hand come towards the earth. It can ground or float, half moon as you start to then float the left hand either to the hip, to the ceiling as you push your left leg back. Take another full breath in. Then start to bend your right knee. Place your left hand, if you can, on the inside of the right foot. Drop the left foot back. Come back into a twist. So left hand stays grounded, right hand comes up. Take a full breath here. Take another inhale, then start to lift your hips, drop onto the inside of your back foot and come all the way up into a warrior two. From here, you might just want to bounce around the hips, so moving back and forth through that front knee. You can roll the shoulders just so you feel really landed. And then we're going to drop the back hand onto the back leg. And as we do that, start to straighten the front leg as we bring the right hand up. Take a full breath in like this. Slightly tricky transition. As we breathe out, we're going to pull that back heel in slightly. Start to bend the back leg, coming into our surfer's lunge as we squat down. Right toes lift up, and we're leaning into that left foot. Hands at heart or just in front of us for a little bit of stability. Take another full breath. And then quite dynamically, we're going to start to shift the weight into the front foot. So coming back to the front of the mat and reach the hands away from the back foot as you find our warrior three. Take a big breath in. And then let the hands come down, let the left foot come down, forward fold. Take a full breath here. Then heel toe the feet together, big toes come to touch. Inhale, let's find chair pose. On the exhale, bring your hands to your hips, roll onto the balls of your feet. Then inhale, drop the heels, come up to standing, reach the arms up. This time, maybe a little back bend, so interlace your hands. And then exhale, dive your hands through your heart. Forward fold. Halfway lift on your breath in. Hands meet the earth, step back into your high plank or straight back to down dog. If you come to plank, inhale. Low plank, exhale. Breath in, up dog or cobra. Downward facing dog on your exhale. Take a breath. Then left leg comes up. Bend the knee, let that hip open. Take a full inhale here. Then start to transition that leg forward, coming into crescent lunge. So take the time, as many steps as you need. Play around with the back knee. Hands can come to hips. You can lift straight up if you like. Just take the time. You don't need to rush. These are kind of fast practices, this power flow kind of focus. So this time when we're really getting into it, just spend all the time you need moving into the smaller parts of the body that need the attention. Take a big breath in. We're going to start to twist. So right hand forward, left hand back. Now if that feels too much, just hand on hip. Otherwise, finding a bit more depth maybe in the leg, drop your back hand, lift the right hand, take a full inhale. Bending that front arm perhaps, and then bringing both hands into your heart. Shift the weight forward into your front foot, Shiva squat. So hover that right knee behind the left. Take a breath here. And then any variation of your half moon. So you can keep that left leg bent, or you can straighten it. Left hand down, right leg back, right hand to hip or to the ceiling. Find your balance, your drishti. Take a full breath in. Then bend your front knee. Right hand comes onto the inside of the left foot. Right foot comes back. Find the twist. Left hand lifts up. Take a full breath here. Stay for that inhale. As you start to lift your hips, drop onto that back heel. Rotate all the way up into warrior two. Move about. So play around with the front knee. Encourage those hips to feel really open. Shoulders relax. Active fingers. And then when you're ready, drop your back hand, straighten your front leg, extend the front hand, find height. And then we're coming into that surfer's lunge. So from here, we start to adjust as we pull the back heel in, lifting the front toes and drop the hips. Hands at heart or onto the earth for balance. Final breath. And then using your hands to support or trying to really lock in with that sense of being a little out of control, send the weight into the front foot, reach the hands forward, come into warrior three. And then when you're ready, just let the hands come down, find forward fold. Take a breath in your fold. And heel toe your feet together, big toes touch. Inhale, chair pose. Exhale, roll onto the balls of the feet, lift the heels, hands to hips. Inhale, come up to standing, drop the heels, maybe with a back bend. Exhale, hands through heart, find your fold. Halfway lift on your breath in. Hands meet the earth, step back, plank pose, knees or toes. Inhale, shift forward. Lower down, chaturanga, exhale. Inhale, up dog or cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog. Take a full breath. And when you're ready, your right leg can lift up. Bend your right knee, open your hip. Take a full inhale here. Step it forward. So a little faster this time. Right foot comes forward and we're going to come straight up, crescent lunge. On your exhale, left hand forward, right hand back. Stay like this or drop the back hand on your inhale, reach your left hand higher, bending the elbow, inhale. And then Shiva squat, bring your hands to your heart, send the weight into the front foot, breath out. Hold here, inhale. Right hand comes to the earth, left leg comes back, half moon. Take a full breath in this pose. And then inhale to open a little more. Left hand comes on the inside of the right foot. Drop your left foot back, twist. Right hand comes up, inhale. Straight away, exhale, warrior two. So lifting all the way up. From here, straighten your front leg, reach your front hand high, inhale. Squat towards the back of the mat. So pull that heel in, bend the back knee, surfer's lunge. Full breath down here. Then a big inhale, send the weight forward. Reach forward, warrior three, inhale. Forward fold, exhale, feet together. Inhale, bend the knees, sweep the earth. Chair pose. Exhale, roll onto the balls of the feet, lift the heels, hands to hips. Come up to standing, with or without the back bend, inhale. Exhale, hands to heart, and forward fold. Halfway lifting, inhale. Hands meet the earth, step back, high to low plank or down dog. Breath in, breath out. Up dog or cobra on your inhale. Downward facing dog. As soon as you come back, left leg lifts. Bend the knee, open your hip. Take a full breath in, then step the foot to the top of the mat. Crescent lunge on an inhale. Come into that twist. Left hand back, right hand forward. Stay here or drop the back hand, find height. Bending at that elbow perhaps, and then hands come to heart. Shift the weight into the front foot, Shiva squat on an exhale. Take a breath in here, then left hand comes down, right arm comes up perhaps or to the hip. When you're ready, start to bend into the front knee, drop that hand down, find your twist. Left hand extends on an inhale, and then lifting up, warrior two on an exhale. Straighten your front leg, lift the front hand, big breath in. Pull that back heel in, bend the back knee, surfer's lunge, breath out. Hold for the breath. Then use that inhale to fire up, push forward, extend the hands, float the back foot, and then find your forward fold on your breath out. Feet at hip distance now, find a halfway lift, breath in. And then hold on to your big toes of your peace fingers, elbows out to the side. Just let your head kind of hang. Bend one knee at a time or both. Take 2 breaths here. And slowly releasing your big toes. Walk your hands onto the legs or forward, halfway lift, inhale. Hands come to the earth, let's step back, plank pose, exhale. Take a full breath in, and then exhale, lower to halfway. From here, inhale, plank pose again. Downward facing dog on a breath out. Take a full breath in, and out. On your next inhale, float your right leg towards the ceiling, bend your right knee, open up through your hip. Now we're going to flip our dog here, so you can do that in a couple of ways. You can let the right foot land on the earth on the left-hand side, or shifting your weight a little forward, position the back toes more towards the right and hover that right foot, right hand comes forward. Take a big breath in, then pull the right knee in, step it to the top of the mat, drop your back knee. From here, inhale, lift your hands up. And as you exhale, cactus arms open up through your heart. Bring your hands onto the small of the back. Fingertips down or up, whatever feels best for you. And then from here, pressing into the back, lifting the heart, hugging the elbows. Take another full breath in And then breath out. Keep your hands on your back. Encourage your heart to come onto that front leg. Hands just fall down onto the inside of that right foot. Heel toe your right foot out to the side. Untuck your back toes. Just come into low lizard here. Right knee comes out to the side, dropping your head, maybe coming onto your elbows. Maybe you find that your left elbow comes down pretty comfortably, but the right hand would be better suited to rest on the knee. Whatever option you're in, if you want to turn it into a deeper expression, a twist or a quad opener, you can lift your left heel towards your sit bone. You can stay on your left elbow or lift up onto your left hand, reach your right arm either up to the ceiling or hold on to that left foot. Take a full breath in here. And then breath out, letting go of the foot. Hands come down. Take your time to lift up. Lifting the hips, lifting the head, and heel toe that front foot back to the midline. From here, lifted back knee, tucking those toes. Take an inhale, step it back, downward facing dog. Take a breath or two. And when you're ready, left leg comes up. Bend the knee, open the hip. Now you can always stay like this or start to play around with flipping your dog. So you can just drop that foot over. If you want to though, reposition your back foot so the toes point to the left a little more. Try to encourage your shoulder, right shoulder over the left wrist, right wrist as much as possible, left hand reaches. And then when you're ready, pull the knee in, step the foot to the top of the mat, and drop the back knee. From here, inhale, lifting up through the hands. Hands can come to hips or cactus your arms and bring them onto the small of the back. Fingertips pointing up or down. Just depends what you want for your forearms. Hug your elbows back. Support your back as much as you need to. Maybe find a bit of extension. Take another full breath in. Keep your hands on your back and encourage support as you guide the heart towards the knee. Then letting go of the hands, bring them onto the inside of your left foot. Heel toe your left foot out a little, toes slightly outward of the heel. Stay on your hands or drop to your elbows. Maybe you actually need something a bit more cushioning under that back knee. And whether or not you're on your hands or on your elbows, if you want to take it a little further, you're welcome to pick up the right heel towards your sit bone. Left hand could come onto the knee, it could extend up, or you could try to hold that foot. Gaze up or down, whatever feels right for your neck. Just taking 2 more breaths here. And letting go of that foot, bringing the hand down. Keeping this transition slow and mindful as you come up. Heel toe your left foot back to the center. Grounding the hands, floating the back knee up. Inhale, downward facing dog. Just pedaling your feet, moving the hips. Take 1 more breath here. And if it feels good for your neck, bringing your gaze forward, but let's come to the top of the mat when you're ready. Bring your feet once again together, big toes to touch. Find a halfway lift as you inhale. And then fold as you exhale. Bend your knees, come up to standing, 1 or as many breaths as you need. And then drop your hands into your heart, but stay standing, breath out. If your hands press together at your heart, roll onto the balls of your feet, lift your heels. You're going to come into a seat. So hug your knees together and slowly start to drop your sit bones to your heels. Now, you'll probably find you're shaking a bit, and you can use your hands forward or on the ground for a bit of balance too. Sit bones to the heels. See if you can hold here and find just a tiny bit of stillness. Now use your hands at any time, but if you can, drop onto your heels and drop your sit bones down. From here, we're just going to come into a seat, bring the heels of the feet together, knees out wide. Hold on to the fronts of your knees. Lift and open your heart. Squeeze your shoulder blades back. And then exhale, roll the spine backwards, tuck your chin, holding onto the knees, leaning back. So find that flexion once again. Inhale, come back up to that extended place. This time we're hinging forward, so folding forward, walking the hands down towards the feet perhaps, or keeping them on the knees, but finding that release here. Just let your head hang or move from side to side. Let's take 3 more full breaths. With each breath, maybe letting go of just a tiny bit of tension, or if not, just planting the seed that might be a possibility. See what we can control with the breath and what we can sit with when we bring our energy and awareness to the way that we breathe and the intention of our breath. The end of this exhale, coming back up onto your seat. Pull your right heel in towards your pelvis and just extend your left leg out to the side. Bringing your right hand behind your right hip. Let's spread the fingers, press into it, and reach the left hand towards the ceiling. You can keep your hips grounded here and just reach the left hand to the right. Or let's bend that elbow, bringing the forearm around the back of the head and coming into a little modified wild thing. So coming onto the knee, lifting the hips and pushing the back of the head into that forearm. Take a big breath in and then dropping the hips down. From here, extending the left arm over towards that left leg. So you might hold onto the foot, you might just drop it onto the inside, encourage the elbow in, and bring the right arm up and over. Bend at the right elbow too, bring the forearm around the back of the head. And you can just lean the head into the forearm. It really helps open up not only the side of the body, but the shoulders. Take one big breath here. And slowly coming back up into your upright position. Give your shoulders a roll perhaps, and then start to bend the left knee, pull the left heel in, extend the right leg. From here, choose your own adventure a little bit. Left hand comes behind the hip. We'll bring the right hand up, and you can just reach the right hand over. That might give you enough space. If you want to though, bend at that elbow, bring it around the back of the head, point your right toes, leaning into the left hand, push your pelvis forward, lean the head back into the forearm. And take another big inhale, then dropping the hips down, sitting the right hand over towards that foot. It might get there, it might not. You can just lean the elbow on the inside, bring the left arm up, bend the elbow, let it rest behind the back of the head, but try not to let the head come too far forward. Push the head into it. And take 1 or 2 more breaths. And slowly starting to come up. Give your shoulders another little roll here if that feels good. And then we're going to come onto our back bodies from here. So moving around onto our backs, hug your knees in, roll from side to side, or make little circles. And that journey down to the ground might look different today than what it typically does. You might want to add some core work in. You might definitely not want to do that too, so just play around as always. Be curious. From here, coming into a little happy baby, so holding on to the insides of the feet. Encouraging the lower back to stay connected to the ground. It's almost like you're pushing the tailbone away from the shoulders. And if holding onto your feet just isn't an option or feels really uncomfortable, just holding the backs of the knees or even the fronts of the knees. If you're holding the insides or the outsides of the feet, both work well. You could play around with straightening one leg and then the other, or maybe straightening both legs. And just take a final couple of breaths here. And slowly bringing the knees back in towards the belly. Holding onto the right knee with your hands, extend your left leg to the end of the mat. Let's move into a supine twist. Take the right knee over to the left, open up your right arm and look over it as you bring the knee over to the left. Take another breath. And then coming back to center, hug your knee nice and tight into the belly here. And then when you're ready, switch it over, hugging the left knee in. Take the left knee over to the right, so a little hop over the hips feels pretty good often. Open up your left arm. Look to it if it feels good. Maybe you're able to close your eyes here. Start to wind down a little. Final couple of breaths. And coming back to center, hugging your knee into your belly. Give it a nice big squeeze in. Maybe bring the right knee in to join it, or maybe you'll extend the left leg. It's up to you. But just when you're ready, if there's anything else your body needs you to do, this is a good time to do it. This practice has been relatively balanced, as in we've moved the spine in all the directions and got into different parts of the hips, but maybe you've been really wanting something, and this is a good opportunity to feel into your own space and do a pose that feels appropriate. If not, just extend your legs. Start to get comfortable, so move into your Shavasana, and that might take just as much setup as your crescent lunge. I always think that if you're doing this practice at home, why not do your Shavasana on your bed or something like that? So you could even move into a more comfortable place. And when you're ready, you can close your eyes. Just allow everything to feel like it's drifting away with those exhales. I'll encourage you to spend as long as you can here. Find a place where the body can rest and hold on to that. But this is where I will leave you. Thank you for joining me today. Namaste.